the first time in almost 10 years, Google started to lose users, while at the same time, AI search tools are on the rise. This has led to a mad scramble as Google tries to catch up and add their own AI overview features.
Okay, don't panic.
It's not clear yet which platform will win. Google has the funding and lots of experience of reverse engineering other platforms or simply buying them. But one thing we do know for sure is that if we want to keep getting organic traffic, then we need to learn how to optimize for AI search. The good news is, it's pretty easy to do. In this video, I'll show you exactly why people prefer to use AI search tools, how AI search chooses the results it shares, how to optimize right now for every AI tool, regardless of which wins, and how to use ChatGPT prompts to help you to do this. So let's dive in, but to understand why people are moving to AI search, I need to tell you about my weekend. So last weekend, a new computer game came out that had me pulling out my hair in frustration. It's in open beta right now, which means you can buy the game, but it's still being tweaked and fine-tuned, and it's a little harder than it should be. I played for a few hours and I thought I was doing pretty good, but after around 30 minutes of trying to kill the insanely difficult first boss, I gave in and I checked out Google for tips on how to beat it. The problem, of course, is that nothing worked. The advice was generic and the character I was playing was too weak to survive the techniques that they suggested. So I grinded a few more levels to see if I could win by simply outgearing the fight, but still no luck. Suddenly it occurred to me that if I went into the search functions in ChatGPT, otherwise known as SearchGPT, I could ask a more specific question and possibly get a more relevant answer. So I did just that, and I found out exactly what I needed to do for my character class and my level, and it even shared a video I hadn't seen recommended before, which helped me to finally beat it. This is why people are moving to AI search and why ChatGPT has over 300 million users a week right now, and Perplexity secured $250 million in funding. Because not only does AI search allow for a more conversational search query, where you can be super specific and detailed about your needs, but the tool can actually understand the context of that question and provide the right answer that fits, often pulling from multiple sources to create that custom answer. Compare that to a classic search engine that gives a basic page of search results where you have to scan through all the options and keep clicking back and forth to find anything, and it's just a night and day difference in user experience. The good news though is that even with the rise in AI search, traditional SEO isn't dead, mainly because these AI search tools work off of the backbone of SEO. Huzzah! In fact, optimizing for AI search is fairly easy as long as you've been following Google's EEAT guidelines and their good content guidelines. You also need to add in some technical SEO, which you probably stopped doing. So let's break this all down. So AI search works off of a three-tiered logic system that's focused on providing the best answer to the user. If content directly answers the user's query and also ranks well, based on traditional SEO signals like authority, EAT, backlinks, AI will prioritize this content first as the result, simply because it's already a known, trusted source because it ranks on Google, Bing, or whatever search engine. It normally provides a direct, concise, relevant answer, and it's been validated by human search behavior. That's why it's ranking. Here's where it gets interesting though. What about if it can't find content that ranks? So if AI finds content that directly fits the user's question, but it doesn't rank highly in traditional SEO, it will still share it with the user. Why? Well, AI systems for AI search don't care about page rank as much as they do about relevance and fit. So if a blog post perfectly answers the user query but is on page 3, it can still be featured in that AI overview, again assuming there's no ranking better alternative. But what about if neither of these exist? Well, when there's no exact answer available, AI will look for close matches that rank highly. It's a backup strategy. Instead of pulling the perfect answer, it will try and extract content from related content that ranks the highest. This is because AI always wants to try and provide an answer, even if it's not perfect. Instead of saying, I don't know, it wants to give a relevant approximation. So, what does this all mean for us and our content marketing? Well, basically, the better you know your audience topics, and the more niche it is, the more specific it is, the better. However, the quality of the content and backlinks are still important, which is great for traditional SEO efforts that you're probably doing already. Speaking of content quality though, there does seem to be a preference in AI search towards that EAT style. It's content that has unique data points, experiences, expertise, and references. Now, there could be a few reasons for this. First off, these small differences stand out against a sea of copycat content on a topic. Add in the fact that any relevant and unique information to the answer improves the quality of the search result, and that's why they might reference you. Finally, it also helps your content to possibly be more in line with the user's searches, so if you're talking about more specific details and others don't cover. Again, it's all stuff you should already be doing. We just need to be smart about how we apply this and optimize our content for AI search. You see, because AI search is contextual, it very rarely pulls single pieces of information from a search result. Instead, it will pull the sentence or paragraph around the answer as well. This is because this helps the reader to understand the context around the answer, which is a better user experience. Knowing all this, how do we apply that? Well, again, it's just good writing habits. You need to have clear section headings and subheads. You need to make sure you cover the relevant information for that section, and the really easy way to do that is to use the what, why, how, and show. This gives that clarity and context that AI search is looking for. So, what are we talking about in this section? Why does it matter? Why would it matter to the reader? How does it work? How do they do it? Show them also. Add images, videos, things like that. Super simple. If you do that, not only will your writing improve, but you'll also be a great contender for SearchGPT, Perplexity, and also Google overviews when they start to add these for all searches. However, there's one more thing you need to do that, if I'm honest, you probably used to do and stopped at some point last year, and that's schema markup. So what is this and why do we care about it? So schema markup is basically additional code that helps search engines fully understand what a page is about. It was built years ago and was a combined effort from Google, Bing, Yahoo, and Yandex. That right there should be sending alarm bells in your brain. Because when multiple billion-dollar competing companies agree on something, you should pay attention even if it seems boring. For example, marketers soon realized that if you added schema markup to a post or page, you were almost guaranteed a jump in the impressions and a movement up the SERPs, which then led to being featured for rich snippets. If you don't know what they are, rich snippets are those search results that you see that go into more detail at the top of the page sometimes. They're kind of like the old school version of AI overviews today. The really cool thing about them is they would often feature pages with the better schema as a result at the top of the page, instead of featuring the page with the most backlinks. That meant you could steal position 1 even if you technically ranked in position 10. However, most people stopped adding schema in August of 2023 when Google announced they were removing its relevance outside of certain industries. The thing is though, since then a lot has changed, and it turns out that all search AI platforms use schema to fully understand the context of a page and its contents. Not only that, but with Google's traffic going down, being able to be seen better by other search engines that never stopped using schema is a good thing, especially when you realize that SearchGPT, ChatGPT, is actually running on the Bing search engine in the background. That means when it searches for results and answers, it's searching Bing and not Google. So it probably makes sense to rank there, right? So yeah, schema's pretty important again, but the question of course is, how do we create this schema code? Well, there's a few options. You can do it manually with tools like the schema markup generator. Basically, you choose which particular type of schema you want, and then you fill out all the details. It's a bit time intensive, but you can fully customize it with these tools, adding in emojis and spacing and all that kind of stuff. Then you have plugins like Rank Math or Yoast for WordPress sites that do this automatically. However, these are not perfect. You see, most articles require 3 types of schema. You have breadcrumb, which is basic. It just shows how the page URL fits into your site structure. So it would be website, website blog, article name. Then you have FAQ schema. This is where you answer each major question that appears in your article. And then finally you have article and article body schema. This is where these plugin tools fail. You see, the article body schema is basically an exact copy of your entire article broken down into code so that these tools can scan the entire post and understand all of it. Issue though with the plugins is that they only write the schema for the introduction of your article and nothing else. They're cutting out around 95% of the article from the scan, which is not great when you're only doing this so that AI search can find it. So what can you do? Well, there's a few solutions. You could just grab the entire post, copy it, use the schema tool I mentioned, paste the article in, get the code. Then you could just add it back into one of these plugins. Super easy if you're using that plugin and WordPress. However, let's be honest, 40% of websites don't use WordPress and they don't have these plugin options, which means you're kind of stuck doing them all manually. As you can probably guess, this is incredibly time intensive, especially if you've got to do it for every page. However, you don't want to miss out on it because of all the benefits. Good news for you is I wrote a prompt that can help you do this for much faster with ChatGPT. You can click the link in the description below and I'll email it to you, or try and pause the video and just write it out yourself if you want. So here's how it works. The prompt is going to create the 3 schemas for you one after another. However, because writing schema code is fairly memory intensive, it can cause some issues with ChatGPT if we try and do this all at once. So here's how to get around it. We enter the core prompt and then the tool will ask you for the URL of the page that you want to create schema for. So we often add schema last as the final part of our upload, or chances are high you've never added it so you want to add it to an article, so that's totally fine. You enter the URL and it'll give you the breadcrumb schema. Then go ahead and open up Notepad on your computer and copy the schema across, then hit enter so you create a blank line gap underneath that code in your Notepad. We do this because we're going to be adding more code sections below this, and we don't want to cause any issues, which can happen if everything's on the same line. Once you've done that, go back to ChatGPT and tell the tool to continue. It will then create the article body section and ask you for a few details. So it wants the image URL of your website logo, basically where it's saved on your website. It'll want the URL of the featured article image, the thing that's at the top of the page. It'll want the author's name and the publication date. The tool will from the prompt, it'll try and grab them for you, but it doesn't always work, so you'll often have to grab these manually, but that's really easy. For the logo, simply go into the media section of your website, search for your logo, find the URL that's relevant to it, and that's all you need. If you want to check it, you can open that URL, and you'll see a page will open with just a logo file like you can see here. For the featured image file, simply right-click on it in your article and click Copy Image Link. The rest of the stuff you can manually add and type in. The tool will then give you the article schema, so copy and paste that into the notepad. However, you'll see for the body section it says Add Article Body here in between quotation marks. I've done this on purpose because the tool can struggle to grab the entire article on its own. It'll often miss things, again, just grabbing the introduction or something. It's far easier for you to copy your entire article, highlight it, and then paste it in Notepad in between those quotation marks. If you've been working for Google Doc, it's even easier. So if you've got your draft over there, highlight all, copy, paste across. Again, once you've done that, make sure there's a gap below this new code in your notepad for the final part we're going to add. Go back over to ChatGPT and let the tool know you've copied it across, and it'll continue with the third schema, which is the FAQ. Basically, it's going to scan your entire article for the questions that show up in the post so far and the answers that you gave to that. This part is key to AI search because obviously people are asking a lot of questions. However, full disclosure in that the tool can have issues here. Either it doesn't find all the questions that you've got in your post, or it tries to rewrite them into generic, smaller answers. This is not what we want when you went to the effort to add depth and expertise and experience, right? We want that generic EEAT. The prompt does tell it not to do this, but sometimes it will still be a pain and make this mistake, so here's how to get around it. Before it writes the code, the tool should list all the FAQ questions and answers that it found in the chat first. All you need to do is read through them and make sure they're correct and not missing anything. If they are, simply tell it to do them correctly and not change the answers. Tell them you need them exactly as it is. It might take 1 or 2 tries, but then it'll finally figure it out. So once it gives you the correct questions and answers, tell it to continue and it'll give you the final code section. Then you just need to copy that into your notepad, and now you have all 3 of them ready to be added to your page. There's just a few minor things to do now. First of all, we just want to check the code, the combined 3 codes all in one. So grab them all and make sure there's not any issues. We're going to go across to Google's Rich Results testing tool, enter the code in there, the combined code of all 3, and then just hit run. If there are any problems, it will let you know. Often this is just a line issue and you need to add a space and you'll see where it is in the code. If it works, you should see the 2 schemas highlighted. Next, you just need to add that into your article. So all platforms are different, but you'll usually see a JSON code section. Add it here and hit save. Finally, you just need to make sure you re-index your pages in both Google and Bing, seeing as Bing is what ChatGPT runs on. This way it'll make the article rank faster. If you've never done it before, you literally enter the URL and request indexing and boom. Your content is now far more likely to show up in AI search. Super easy, right? However, just because AI search is the future, don't forget that it still builds on traditional SEO, and you still need backlinks to rank. So check out this video next where I share my favorite link building technique. I use this one method and nothing else, and it took my website, a brand new website, from DR0 to DR50 in just 3 months. Usually that can take about 4 to 5 years. It's so insanely powerful and great to use if you're a one-person business or a small team, so check it out now.